Hi there, you are at the Algorand Wyckoff technical analysis session. So a few days back I received a suggestion like why not add the Algorand session to my regular schedule. So this is the session for Algorand, and as you know, if you have been following for a while, for new session I'll do it from scratch. And so let's quickly let me borrow some text from the other charts, and let's see where Algorand is in terms of the Wyckoff stages. So quickly into the chart of Algorand. This is the weekly time frame, and what I need is to borrow something, let's say from Bitcoin. Well, the key levels I wouldn't do it this time. I'll do it at the background because it's going to take a while. What I'm going to quickly borrow are these tags from, I just need 1 second test, automatic reaction, sign of weakness, PSY, up first, back up, last one support, sign of strength, last one support, we don't need it for now, spring, second test, selling climax, automatic rally, preliminary support. I think that we have enough. So going back to Algorand, we have these bumpy rides and I see a couple of stage like cycles already. So here there's a distribution. This is the current distribution we're in. Obviously there were accumulations here over there as well. So let's quickly plug in what we have borrowed from Bitcoin. So this obviously is the buying climax, and then there's no upthrust. I'll put it over here for the time being because the earlier distribution seems to have one. And then second test, yes, we have it. And then automatic reaction, yeah, it's definitely there. And eventually, well, there's a PSY at this range. More importantly, there was an LPSY at last point of supply, excuse me, over here. So, also, besides that, well, there wasn't much of a sign of weakness after the automatic reaction. It's close, but I'll skip that for the time being, or maybe just put it there for the time being, just to make it complete. What happened here? I would say that was a preliminary support, and then eventually the selling climax. And obviously we had an automatic rally back in May, just 3 months back. And immediately there was a second test during mid-late June. And then this I would consider a sign of strength. Back in mid-July, that's a pretty impressive sign of strength over there. So in terms of Wyckoff stages, we would possibly see some backup and last point of support before the next distribution cycle comes in. Hopefully that's the case, because even after a sign of strength, there can be some more second tests or even a spring that's a point lower than the selling climax. Let's see whether that retracement would go that deep. Hopefully not, especially for people who are waiting for the new distribution cycle. So usually we would hope a shorter accumulation period, much like last time back in 2004. The accumulation cycle lasted for 7 months, 210 days. So this time, from the drop to where we are now, is already 110 82 days. So in a month's time, that will be the same period, same duration as of last time. So would we see a price surge or like a new distribution cycle happening later this month or early next month in September? That will be interesting to see. So enough for this for now. I just want to quickly put in the text for the earlier distribution as well. So supposedly that was buying climax, PSY over here, and then obviously the automatic reaction, sign of weakness, and then an upthrust. That's why I keep the upthrust tag over there. And then a phase D sign of weakness, and LPSYs. There are two over there, but they're too close. I just put one tag. And then preliminary supports, let's say it's very short-lived, and then a selling climax. Then automatic rally, second test. I can put the spring back here now. And there was some, well, you can say that's a sign of strength. Is not pretty strong, but still a sign of strength. And backup and last point of support. So quickly, just two cycles for each, one like two distribution cycles, two accumulation cycle, and we're somewhere between mid-late stage of accumulation, because there can be multiple signs of strengths in an accumulation cycle. So it doesn't always mean we're at the late stage when we see one, but it's obviously a good sign to see a sign of strength. Especially it's at a pretty high level as well after like the 2021 fall. So this level is not an easy level to pass, because the upthrust back in March 2024, you see this line over here. That's a very key level. It goes all the way back to 2020. You see all these activities along the line that tell us this is quite a significant level that's not easy to pass. That's around 28 cents 50. But then it did tested it 3 weeks back, and now it has come down and try to gain more momentum, hopefully, because you see this long green volume bar back in mid-July. That was the big selling once the price got above this key line over here. You see, probably a lot of people got in and got stuck at those levels, and then like, oh yeah, especially those two. Honestly, the buying climax wasn't that high, so that's why once it got past this dotted or dash line level, the selling pressure was really high. That's the big picture. If we go to the daily, once again, let's borrow some text from this time maybe Ethereum. So again, buying climax, second test, upthrust, sign of weakness. Let's leave upthrust of the distribution for now. We can always add AD to upthrust, backup, spring, second test, sign of strength, automatic rally, selling climax, and preliminary support. There's no PSY. Let's borrow one LPSY from here. Okay, we've got the ingredients we need, and let's go to Algorand. And here, it's going to be tricky to look at or to identify the Wyckoff patterns. I would say, always, as you know me, start with the buying climax, and then this little bump second test over here, that's probably the LPSY. Automatic reaction over here, sign of weakness at this point. That's the another sign of weakness, another little LPSY over here. No offers yet for this current period. PS, let's put a PSY over here. That's the distribution cycle we're currently in for daily time frame. And for previous terms, let's see, I would say that's probably the selling climax over here. Preliminary support was right there, that's what I think. And automatic rally right there. Sign of strength over here. That second test wasn't really deep, but anyway, I will put the tag here and back up and last point of support. And those kind of activities here. There was no spring at the accumulation period back in June, early July time. That should bring closer here. And let's make one more for distribution. So that's LPSY over here. That's another LPSY. Obviously, sign of weakness. Sign of weakness. I would say that's the buying climax. No, that's the upthrust. Well, that's probably a spring much earlier, but that's the accumulation cycle. We'll leave that for now. But we've got, oh, okay, this is not, they should go here. I should have an automatic reaction. This one is tricky because, like I said, in the daily chart, it's going to be very noisy. Let's stick to this for now. We just need one more PSY over here. So that's how it looks like to me for Algorand. And as of this moment, this, we can see a downward channel box or a downward channel happening. It started since the buying climax back in mid-July and is still continuing without a breakout yet. If we go back to the weekly, we just want to look at what's happening in the weekly because it controls or it constrains what can happen in the daily. After this massive sell, obviously people are a bit scared and they're trying to find support at this level. That's where the automatic rally was. So if this is really getting near the end of accumulation in the weekly time frame, then in the daily, this would not get into a new accumulation cycle. Let's say this is a scenario 1. What it would happen is it may trade sideways and eventually go up for the upthrust. That's the positive scenario. So for positive scenario, I'll bring in the upthrust over here. It can be just another, you can consider another buying climax or a second test. But if it's higher than the buying climax, people call it, or the Wyckoff method call it upthrust. For me, it's basically all tests of demands. So scenario 1, we have put in the tag over there. This is also a question mark, that's the scenario 1. Scenario 2, that means if it comes down for more tests, so might as well copy one tag across for scenario 2. If it really comes down for a deeper test for daily, that means this downward trend continues. It will trade within this trend and eventually enters a new accumulation zone. So for that, I'll extend this downward channel box so it goes into this level, and I'll put in a selling climax question mark right there. So would I follow this trend and get to a selling climax before it eventually finishes accumulation in the bigger time frame and show us a new buying climax? That's the scenario 2. We have to closely observe. As of this moment, it's still within this downward trend, so this may be more likely unless it breaks outside, and then that will change the perspective of the game. So just quick look at the counter squeeze. So if you're new to counter squeeze, it's an indicator whenever a squeeze happens, meaning the purple gets to very close to the orange or inside the orange sometimes, best is inside, that a massive price move is near. So it can be up or it can be down. So we have an upward example here, another upward example here, but we obviously, with this squeeze, we have some downward as well. So it's not always one side. There was a squeeze here and that was drastic drop. So enough introduction for the counter squeeze Bollinger Band indicator. What I'm trying to say here is the bottom, they are crossing already, the purple and the orange. And the purple here is coming down to the orange. So that means if we trade in narrow range over the next few days, there may be a massive price move coming. So naturally it seems like it's heading this way. Hopefully it's not, if you are, especially if you are looking for like a bullish scenario, because this downward channel that I use, if you're into candlestick pattern analysis, they can call this a downward flag. Downward flag means bullish, and once it breaks out, the price can go up high. So there are multiple theory in play here. It's just that if the squeeze happen, it has to break outside of this box in my view, or it has to trade very, very close to the edge of the box, because it has to stay around this level to gather sufficient squeeze, let's put it this way, to let these indicators come together. So if that's the case, it would be narrow range trading for the next few days, and then a massive price actions immediately after. So it would be probably or likely before I run the next session for Algorand. So prepare for massive price move, whether you are seeing this as bullish or seeing it as bearish. It doesn't matter, just set your stop loss, because when the squeeze happen, looks to me it's going to happen very soon. You just can't wait for my next session to happen, because it's likely going to happen before my next session comes out, the way I see it. Just looking at the weekly chart is kind of interesting, because the volume is coming down. It looks like it's going to do sideways trading as well. If it really comes down back to a new test, that's the scenario for, like, the negative scenario to happen. But if it goes up, I'm thinking whether that would be really such a massive move, but it can be, because looking at the buying climax back in mid-July, it was actually just a sign of strength level. So like I said in some other sessions, there can be multiple signs of strength before even the backup and LPS period appears. Obviously it can come to this point, this level, for the backup or LPS, and then eventually goes to the new distribution cycle. So I'll take out this for now, even though multiple SOS can happen. However, like I said, the downward trend is there. The selling isn't that high. That's the positive side for the bullish team, and hopefully that's the case. If it really finds support over here and breaks outside of this box and triggering a squeeze towards this second test of upthrust, that's ideal. Just to be careful, there's still a possibility that it can head to the downside. So while we hope for the best to the upside, the squeeze to happen and shoot up to this second test of upthrust level, be mindful it's still within this box. It can still go crazily down to selling climax level at around 15 or 16 cents. Yeah, it's not clear for now because it can go both ways, but more likely if it continues with the downward trend, it becomes a 40-60 scenario, like 60 downwards, 40 upwards, but I'm just speculating. I already explained, it can be either side. The squeeze in the daily and both weekly and daily chart, it's getting very close. The purple and the orange, like one is inside, the other is catching up. So some kind of big price move is going to happen. That's what I can say. Which side? I'm not a prophet. I don't know. But yeah, I've explained it all. Hopefully it's helpful to you. See you in next week. Or next session tomorrow.